With the Lakers' recent struggles as of late, there's been a lot of chatter about potential trades going down over the next couple weeks, and DAngelo Russell has been at the center of a lot of those discussions. And now a few teams have emerged as favorites to land the LA Lakers point guard. So we're going to discuss what these teams are, what trades could potentially go down for LA in a DAngelo Russell package, and what the team should be looking for, as obviously D'Lo just had a remarkable performance last night against the Utah Jazz in a losing effort. So he's a piece that definitely still has a lot of fire, a lot of capabilities out there on the basketball courts, but things just hasn't really come together for him this season with the LA Lakers, and specifically under Darvin Ham's system. So there are a lot of angles, a lot of things we have to dive into in this video. But before we do, folks, again, if you want to stay up to date with all of the latest LA Lakers news, especially with the trade deadline just around the corner, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Over 90% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel, so it would mean the world to us if you're a part of that 90% and want to stay up to date with all the latest Lakers coverage to hit that subscribe button. But let's dive into what's actually going down, because DAngelo Russell, for his entire career, not just with the LA Lakers, but whatever team he's on, feels like he's a part of potential trade discussions, packages, and stuff, and has been traded a lot over the course of his career. And now a few teams have really emerged as a potential sort of D'Lo destination, but before we dive into that, we'll look at his potential values. Basically, thanks to his $17.3 million salary for the season, Russell would likely be a candidate to get shipped out in a potential scenario. The Athletics' Joe Von Bua sort of reported that LA might be prepared to offload the 2018-2019 All-Star in a hypothetical move for the Bulls' Zach LaVine. And obviously, we've seen a lot of chatter about Zach LaVine going back to the Lakers, and obviously DAngelo Russell being a centerpiece in that package. With the emergence of Kobe White, and they have some pieces over there with Chicago, those discussions and rumors have died down a little bit, or at least over the past week, but that's still a serious scenario that's kind of going down there. But based on multiple reports, however, Russell's current salary, along with his $18.7 million player option, is dampening his market a bit. If the 27-year-old prefers to stay on the West Coast, performances like what he delivered Saturday could be a double-edged sword, as they may have only succeed in enticing an outside suitor, and he's still a net positive as a trade asset. So obviously, those types of discussions are coming out over the past couple days. Last night, DAngelo Russell went absolutely nuclear for the LA Lakers, against the Utah Jazz, back in the starting lineup, 41 minutes, so getting a lot of run, 39 points, 8 assists, on making 6 threes, 50 and 26 shooting. He can go off for games like this, which hopefully, if the Lakers do get a move, rehabilitates his trade value, showing how much he can explode, given the right system, given the right night, for any potential team that ends up acquiring him. He can facilitate, he can do a lot of things out there on the offensive end. So makes sense for the LA Lakers to not give him up for nothing, especially watching performances like that. Sure, some watching games like that has some Lakers fans, I'm sure, are looking at this and saying, why on earth would we even trade D'Lo? So, I get all that type of stuff, but a few teams have emerged as favorites to land D'Lo if a potential trade were to go down. And basically, we just kind of discussed the Chicago Bulls, Zach LaVine. I don't want to make this another Zach LaVine back to LA video. Caruso, DeRozan, those guys are already there. We've covered them a ton. Lakers channel's been covering those potential packages a ton in recent weeks. We know what we could get from the Chicago Bulls. They're a team that has performed a little bit better since LaVine was out of the lineup. Now he's back. They're seeing how it all shakes out. But I feel like that option's always potentially going to be there because, those are star players. The Bulls want some shakeups. They want to move younger a bit. So, don't be surprised if a trade happens in that direction. But the other teams in terms of these favorite lists, a little bit more intriguing to me. It's basically the Brooklyn Nets, Miami Heat, Detroit Pistons, and San Antonio Spurs are also among the favorites to land D'Lo. Now, DAngelo Russell, again, we just showed how well he played last night for LA, but he's put up some decent numbers this season. It shouldn't hamper his trade value on the market too much. I mean, at only 27 years old, it feels like he's been in the league forever, but 15 points per game, 6 assists this season, 47% from the field, still shooting 40% from behind the three-point line, solid free throw shooter, does everything out there you kind of want on the offensive end for a point guard. Again, inconsistent, defense is questionable at times. We know what DAngelo Russell is, but should be able to net back to the Lakers some valuable assets if a trade were to go down. So who could we potentially get from specifically, again, like the Nets, the Miami Heat, the Detroit Pistons also just made a trade today. getting off some money. There's some speculation they may be going after a player like Pascal Siakam or one of these free agents this upcoming summer, but maybe something to look at there for the Lakers. The Spurs are a team that is in desperate need of a point guard, but we all know that the Spurs front office is not going to do any favors for the LA Lakers. So I really want to dive deeper into the Brooklyn Nets as well as the Miami Heat, because the Brooklyn Nets have had a couple players linked to the LA Lakers in recent weeks. I mean, a couple names, some bigger wings on this roster that space the floor as well as play defense. Kind of exactly what the LA Lakers have wanted to bring in around LeBron James under this new sort of front office regime. And basically, Dorian Finney-Smith as well as Royce O'Neal are two players on this Brooklyn Nets roster, which, again, have decent enough size salaries, can make some money work in terms of bringing players back. I think those two players have been linked already to the LA Lakers. Would be interesting fits and sort of make sense, in a potential DAngelo Russell trade. Because if you aren't familiar, I'm sure everyone sort of remembers all the memes that were going on about that really fun Brooklyn Nets team before they acquired Kevin Durant, before they acquired Kyrie Irving. DAngelo Russell was an all-star for that group. Made an all-star team, had a fun little playoff run, had all the memes, the Playboy Cardi memes going on with that Brooklyn Nets team. Maybe especially where they've been struggling as of late, want to bring back some of those guys. Dinwiddie's still back there on the roster. Maybe they sign a Rondé Hollis Jefferson out there in free agency, bring back D'Lo, and go back to that sort of 2018 vibes to that squad, and then provide the LA Lakers with some 3-and-D players. So maybe they could leverage that nostalgia and getting a decent package back for LA in one of these deals. So don't be surprised if a potential Nets trade, whether it's a 1-for-1, where we get Dorian Finney-Smith or Royce O'Neal in one of these packages, or a 3-team deal which lands DAngelo Russell back with Brooklyn, because they seems to be the player Brooklyn Nets fans really huddled around the most, even though despite the fact they had Durant, they had Kyrie on that team for a while. But the Miami Heat are also an interesting team that's, among these favorites, and they have some guys that could also be really interesting fits for LA as well. And Tyler Herro's not going to be in a DAngelo Russell package, even though, again, his floor spacing would be awesome. I also don't think Jaime Jaquez is going to be a player that the Miami Heat are willing to give up, given his emergence as a rookie. And it sucks because he was drafted the pick behind LA. Hood-Schifino's a guy that does have a lot of potential and stuff, but I mean, Jaime Jaquez has been a beast for Miami. I don't think two of those players are on the table. Obviously, Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo are unlikely to be in one of these packages, but I mean, there's some interesting pieces on this Miami Heat squad. We want to go big. Thomas Bryant back would be an interesting experiment. I don't think that would actually be the case, given his frustrations with this role previously. But a Caleb Martin, a Josh Richardson, a couple guys that are 3-and-D wing players could definitely provide some value out there on the wing for LA. Duncan Robinson is a player that really fell off a cliff, fell off the map there for a little bit, for the Miami Heat, but has emerged again as a solid player for Miami this season. Obviously can shoot the lights out, and space in the floor. So that could be an interesting fit. And you have some hot shooters coming off the bench, but again, D'Lo can already provide those types of things. I mean, the LA Lakers, especially if they're keeping Darvin Ham, he can't play defense. It needs to be two-way guys coming back to LA. So, Caleb Martin would probably be an interesting piece, but a lot of people look at Miami Heat players and say, we know the development that the Heat culture, the Heat system has, so they overperform, and LA's already been burnt on, Gabe Vince, or at least I don't want to throw him out the window just yet, so I'm not that encouraged about a potential Miami trade, but a deal with Brooklyn would probably be the thing that excites me most. So let me know what you guys think about a potential package going on there in the comment section down below. You guys are the best for making this far. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all of the latest LA Lakers news. I'm signing out. Cheers.